Hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna walk you through my thinking and trade setup plan for TAO. And while I'm doing it, I will also be walking you through some of the tools that I use to find take profit zones and some justification for why I'm liking this setup. This is obviously a much more sensible trade than typical degen stuff. This is TAO. I don't actually know a lot about the fundamentals anymore. I just know that it used to be the darling of last year, right? It did some crazy numbers last year. If you look back to May 2023, it did some ridiculous. This is like a 25x. I have no idea what to expect from here. I'm not really one to do price predictions. I do think that when AI kicks off, it should be one of the AIs that does well. But anyway, regardless, what I'm more trying to do here is teach you some of the tools that I use and why I like this trade, what I'm looking at. And so there'll be some support resistance, there'll be some take profit zones, there'll be a bit of use of Fibonacci levels, and I'm also going to show you this tool which is right here called the fixed range volume profile, which is going to look really crazy when if you've never seen it before, it's going to be weird. But it's very helpful when it comes to take profit zones. All right, here we go. So first off, I will pull up some of my indicators. I will get LuxAlgo, which does a lot of similar stuff to stochastic in terms of the momentum, but also similar to Market Cipher B in terms of the money flow and the momentum. I kind of like it better just because it visualizes the bullish divergences. What we can see here is that money flow was flowing out, right? And then it's been starting to come back in. This is on the daily chart. And so money flow was coming back in. You had a bullish divergence here and the green dot means that there was a stochastic cross up or momentum cross up. And now you're seeing that, okay, yes, there is a cross down. However, if you look closely, it looks like it's curling up or at least flattening out. So we might have a situation like this where you see even though the momentum was coming down, the momentum of this uptrend was stronger than here and it just bounced around a little bit although price was going up. What I'm seeing here is that we've got this downtrend that was since 18th of March. So this is a 119-day downtrend, and that was just broken the other day, as you can see, popped out here. And then what we've got is like a support resistance flip right here. I'm gonna switch to the weekly for a sec. So here's a quick lesson on support resistance. I like using the ray. So you can go over to the left. No, you go over to the left and you see the candle closes. So I've zoomed in here on the weekly and look at what you can see here. Look left and you see the candle closed here. There was a wick and then it closed here. And then the next one was just a touch higher and then the next one was exactly the same. This is what you're looking for. Two candle closes next to each other at the same level. This is what shows you a level of support resistance. And then, so let's draw a ray, a horizontal ray. And I've made it nice and fat because honestly, these should be viewed as zones. We're not scalp trading, so we don't need to be so precise. In fact, you could even get a rectangle and this whole area here. You see how the price reacted to this area? So let me just clean that up. So this orange box now, this was previously resistance, couldn't do it. Boom. Broke through, flipped it into support, and then look what happened after, kept going up, came down. These wicks showed that this is a buy zone and that is an area of support. Again, It broke through momentarily, came down, could not, well, it still held as support. Boom, that's when the candle closed below, that's when you consider support lost. And this is on the weekly chart, right? So each candle is 1 week. Recently, you can see that it's contending with this level. And look at that wick, right? Here's what else is interesting. If I take a Fibonacci, what do you know? Okay, I'll zoom in onto the daily just so you can see more how that looks. You see that? So I took the fib from this area. That was on the weekly, right? When I was on the weekly chart, I just got it from the bottom of there and pulled it up to the top and then dragged it out just so you can see, right? But look at how it reacted to the 50% and the golden pocket area, right? It just went through. This is a potential sniper entry, right? Like this would have been sweet if you put your entry limit order down at the golden pocket, and you could have made a much tighter stop loss because of the sniper entry, right? Your risk to reward is significantly improved when you do that, you see. So it came down to the golden pocket, bounced, and now it is still contending with this zone, right? So it's not completely out of the woods. However, I do like this setup because look, I suppose the best thing would be to wait to see if this closes above here. Yeah, above that, if it can close at the top range or above this orange box, this would be a great risk to reward trade. And so let's move on to the potential take profit zone. So I'm going to use this tool called the visible range volume profile. Normally what you would do is select an actual area, and then when you look inside, you can see where there was a lot of trading volume and where there was not, the gaps that usually get filled. Here's the point of control. So for this trade, if you want it to be really safe, you would probably wait until it has popped up above here and then reclaim that as support. However, if you drag this out to more recent but not all the way, you can see that the point of control was down here and it did come down and revisit that. This top line shows that this is the value area high and this is the value area low, which means the market accepts this price level as the low and this price level as the high, and the point of control is here. Now this is on a very zoomed out level, so I wouldn't necessarily be using this for take profit zones. However, if we zoom down to the daily chart and let's say we bring it more to this price action, now we can use these as potential take profit zones. For example, this one here, this, I'm just going to mark out all of these. Now what I do is the peak, right? The peak of these. This is the value area high, value area low. Yeah. So now we have some areas where, so wherever it's thicker, this is where you could expect a lot more support or resistance, right? So right now it's contending with this, it just made it through this thick area here. And this is why it'd be nice if it flips this into support. I'm going to make these a little thinner and green because they're take profits. I'm using the value area high as one of the take profits. You can also at the very top put a take profit just in case it does a double top. But here you're starting to see now basically a trading plan, right? I would say that your stop loss would be safely under here. You want to give it some breathing room. So we're going to use a pretty wide stop loss somewhere around there. This is a swing trade, right? So we want to give it breathing room in case of volatility. And then you can have, this is probably too low for TP1. So let's remove that. TP1 would be 30% move and TP2 would be a 60% move, TP3 an 80%, TP4. These are all optional, right? You don't have to take profit at every one of these levels. However, you can expect a reaction whenever it gets to these levels. I mean, of course, it might just bust through, but you could expect something like bouncing through these like this. Then I've got my moon math, and this one is very rudimentary, but they tend to work. So I basically took my Fibonacci retracement tool, went from the most recent top to the most recent bottom. Now I'm going to use a different template which I have already saved. This won't be like there by default. I've created this, right? Hang on, the main ones, yeah, is 1.618, 2.618, 3.618, 4.618, 5, and 6.618. This is totally moon math, but it's like, how else are you going to make estimates of where price is going to go, right? And this is pretty wild moon math. If it did do all the way there, that's 30x. I don't know about that. It's really anyone's guess. I think I've heard some targets of around 2.5, 3,000. This would be already over a 15x. Again, no one truly knows whether this is ever even going to happen. It's all just dubious speculation, but you can see now how we're now developing a trading plan. And so we've got our take profit zones, and these could also be take profit zones. You can swing trade with this, right? Because likely when it comes up here, boom, it'll likely get a reaction. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you next time.